Welcome to the Morning Formation. This episode is powered by Act Now Education.
The big thing is relationships, is what I learned. Relationships should be treated like currency. And if you have that relational capital, it can get you places. And I came from the sound thought of, and I hate saying this, but it's so true. It's not who you know, it's who knows you.
Warriors, fall in. It's time for formation. So today I'm going to be joined with an E7 Sergeant First Class in the United States Army who is currently serving as an 18 Echo in United States Special Forces. Now, this individual is rather unique because over the years he has heavily invested himself in real estate. And what he's doing outside of the military is really setting himself up for his career transition. So I wanted to feature him and highlight him because I wanted to talk today about specifically how and why he decided to get into real estate and what he plans on doing next. But first of all, we're going to get to know who he is, why he joined the military to begin with, how he got into Special Forces, and what are his plans in the future. So today, I want to welcome Javier Guitron to the Morning Formation podcast. I'm sorry if I chopped up the last name there, brother.
Brother, you're good, man. And you got it perfect, by the way. Before I say anything, though, I'm just going to have a disclaimer. All my opinions and views do not represent the DoD or Department of the Army, and I am not getting any pecuniary gain out of this interview. And that's it.
Well, you're gaining my respect and my friendship, I guess, by being here, and I already have that anyways.
We're friends before that.
Exactly, dude. I just wanted to say thank you, man, for taking the time out for doing this in-house interview. Like, you came all the way from up north and joined me here on the Morning Formation and doing this in-studio interview, which is the second one I've ever done before. So,
dang.
Yeah, man.
Number two, I love it.
Yeah, right. And so with that being said, man, so would you mind just telling the folks out there listening a little bit about you, who you are, and kind of end it with why you decided to join the military?
All right. Well, who I am, I'm just some kid out of Modesto, California, who decided, I think I'm going to leave this town and do something else. And don't let like the MOSs and whatever training you think I did for you. I was a very meek kid who, grew up in a Catholic family, so all I knew was traditional Mexican culture and upbringing. I mean, we had carne asadas in the weekends, growing up, until pretty much the day I graduated high school, it seemed. That's how I remember, living. And that's pretty much all I knew before I joined the military. And I will tell you, I've definitely altered my views and just my behavior since, joining. I'm definitely not a meek person anymore. It's probably to my disadvantage at times. I should be meek and I shouldn't say as much, but.
Well, I mean, you kind of earned it over the years. But even growing up in Modesto, California, that's kind of out in the middle of nowhere, right?
Central Valley. So it's farm town pretty much.
Farm town. So what did a lot of your friends end up doing once they graduated from high school?
So the closer friends I was with there, my buddy Jeff, he stayed around. He worked at Foster Farms. He was making a lot of good money, working there. At least at the time, we thought it was good money for sure. I had some other friends who worked construction here and there. Others tried college for a bit, just wasn't working. Another friend of mine, Daniel, he did actually end up joining the military, and he actually gave me crap about joining the Army. Guess what? He joined the Army as a field artilleryman. So go figure, right?
Right.
It's funny how it works out that way. So a few other people did join the Air Force, and not many other people really joined the military. They actually kind of either went to Fresno State or Stanislaus State College, which is nearby. It's just literally 20 minutes down the road. Everyone kind of wanted to stay home, and near their family, near their support cycle, or near the support line rather. And that's fair. I mean, I'm not here to make fun of that. That's what they value. They valued family. They didn't want to go away. I felt it was my time to go though.
So when you go back home, if you ever do go back home, is there kind of a mystique with whatever happened to Javier?
No. I keep in touch with a good friend of mine, Daniel. Very often. He actually updates me on, I was supposed to go to my reunion, but I was in a school, for my 10-year and 20-year too. 20-year was COVID was happening, so nothing happening there. No, everyone kind of kept to themselves. There was no, hey, what happened to this guy? And just so you know, I was nowhere. I wasn't popular. I played 3 sports: water polo, wrestling, and swimming, and I sucked at all of them. So I was no one great. I was average at best in school and in sports. So no, that no one really actually wonders about each other. The people that stayed around kind of hung around, sure.
Right.
I think that was silly. He did tell me stories, and when I did visit, early on when you visit from the military, you go home on leave. You feel like, hey, I'm someone. Yes, that was me. I did buy into that silly hype. Obviously, kind of as the deployments went by, I think all that kind of just like none of that stuff matters anymore because other things mattered, right? It was funny to hear stories though. I know it's kind of going off on a tangent. I'm like, hey, what's this guy doing? Oh, he's 22, but he's still hanging out with high school girls. Like, that's gross. Okay. So, those are the stories I would hear from like Danian. He would kind of update me here and there. Funny stuff though. And some of it's sad. I would hear about suicides. And small side note, if you guys need to talk to somebody, talk to somebody. Holy fuck. I would hear about people just kill themselves, just nice people. And I'm like, what happened? And then everyone have theories like, well, all their friends left to college and she was by herself. And I don't want to mention names and, trigger families, but yeah, I was kind of sad because I was a nice person that would, take their life. And I would, mental health is a huge thing too. And it's really sad for anyone to do that. And, but going back to, going back home, I go back home for family now, and it feels good as much as like, oh God, this place is boring. It's not boring anymore to me in a sense now that I have a family. It's, I want my family, my immediate family, back home family to, hey, here's my son, here's my stepson, here's my wife,
Right.
So,
right.
And my wife loves pan dulce, so we don't get that in Florida or in the East Coast. So,
The heck is that?
it's Mexican bread.
Oh, okay.
It's horrible for the waistline, but
right.
I'll tell you, it tastes phenomenal.
Yeah.
I don't eat it no more. She does.
I live so close to the Mexican community where I'm at now. There's really no excuse why I shouldn't know what that is, but I'll have to check that out, man. So when you first enlisted in the military, you enlisted as an 11 Bravo?
I did.
Yeah, and so why?
Silly story to that. I didn't know what I wanted to do. I was in MEPS. It was actually on my brother's birthday in January 26th in 2001. And they're like, hey, you need to say something. You need to know what job you want. I was like, I was told not to talk to you without my recruiter here. And then some dude behind this, looked like an E7 at the time, sitting down. This guy behind him, he had like a blue cord on. That's how I remember. I was like, that's a silly cord. Who would do that, And,
right.
Hey, man, that's qualities like you should be in the infantry, that kind of loyalty. You don't find that often. I was like, are you just saying that? It's like, well, what if I say I want to be a pilot? It's like, you can be a pilot, I guess. I'm not stopping you. I'm just saying. No one really says that. No one said that today. Like, I'm not going to talk here without my recruiter because my recruiter said, don't talk to him without me being there. And he said that because he was afraid of me being swindled because I was still 17. I didn't know shit.
Right. None of us do.
No, absolutely
right.
not. I grew up with a Catholic upbringing family thinking, oh, everyone's good. And you realize not everyone may have your best interest in mind, And in the end, they just wanted a body in and they wanted to give me a chance to have a choice, which was one of the few chances to have a choice. And as that dude with the blue cord was speaking at the time, like, hey, I'm in the infantry and, it's people like that what drives, the Army to what it is. And he's like, hey, you're not going to go to war. We're in a peacetime Army. So, I mean, what do you have to lose? It's only 3 years.
What year was this?
2000.
Oh, 2000.
Oh, yeah. Oh, no, 2001. I'm sorry. January 2001.
Early. Okay.
Yeah. Thank you, Osama bin Laden, right? Fuck him.
Yeah.
Anyway, so yeah, I was like, peacetime Army, sure, okay, I guess I'll do 3 years and get out and go to college like everyone else because I didn't have a fucking plan.
Right.
I didn't know what I was doing.
Right.
Recruiter came in. I was like, I think I want to do infantry. Are you sure? He's like, yeah. And then I look at the guy and I'm like, yeah, I'm all right with it. Okay, all right. And then the guy behind the desk like, do you want to go airborne? He's like, whatever that is, sure, I don't care.
Right.
I didn't know what the hell that was. And I said, just yes, screw it.
Yeah.
Full send. I was 17. I don't care.
So you go in as an 11 Bravo. you leave Modesto, California,
Yeah.
and then you spend a few years. I know you did a few deployments when you were in, I guess, lower enlisted. At what point did you decide, or how did you get into Special Forces?
Another silly story. So, it was the year of our Lord of 2008. I was in BNOC. They call it ALC at the time, in Fort Benning, and
BNOC is what you would go through in the Army when you're becoming an E6.
an E6.
Yes.
Yes. But now they changed it to Advanced Leader Course, ALC. Pretty much anyone at the time was MOS specific for phase 2, and that was in Fort Benning. So you had everyone that was infantry that was there, and they came from armor, light infantry, airborne infantry, and they were all there. And then people who were instructors or even guys who were drill sergeant and or recruiters, they had to go there because in order to make E7, you had to have BNOC at the time, but ALC now. So from there, there was this guy named Tim. Met him, and then I ran into him in 2009 again, and he goes, and he's in training in Quantico, and I'm here at the time stationed in Fort Meade, Maryland. I catch up with him. It was a cool night, just hanging out. Next morning before I left to go, I was like, "Hey, Javi, I was wondering, would you go to selection with me?" I was like, "Which one?" I was like, "Just SF," and I'm like, "Yeah, when? October." I was like, "Yeah, sure, okay, I'll do it." I had no plans. I didn't even think about doing it. I was just gonna finish out my contract and get out by then. That was like my thought. I didn't think about going in def, you know. So I go to selection. I realize he wasn't there. I go through every tent at the time. There was nobody there that knew Tim. You know, I don't want to say his last name because I don't know if he could be listening. But I realized, hey, maybe got injured, flight, something, you know. And then I realized it passed, and I come back home, or actually I get my cell phone. I'm like, "Hey, Tim, dude, what's up? Hey, how you doing? Hey, dude, I passed, dude, but are you okay?" Hangs up the phone, blocks my number. He even blocks me off at the time PSN network from playing like Call of Duty. I'm like, whoa, did I say something wrong? Like, I just I'll chalk it up to maybe being ashamed a bit. I don't know. Because he's the one who told me, "Hey, come with me," and I said, "Yeah, sure, I'll go." And I made it. He didn't show up, and I wouldn't have actually gave him any shit about it. Like, I don't know.
So what happened?
I don't know, because he hung up the phone, and he blocked me.
And this guy was just another regular Army guy that you had met in BNOC,
Yeah.
and
I thought we were bros because at the time, and this is very important for me to say this, just because you drink with somebody, your drinking friends are not your real friends, man. If you're just
Right.
going to drink with them, even though it was like almost like 5 days a week at the time, we weren't doing much there.
right,
We're in our early 20s, and we
Right.
were all deployed a few times. So I guess
right.
trying to get back the time we lost, which you can't do, by the way, it's super impossible. And yeah, so I thought he was my friend, you know.
Right.
Shows how much I knew. So.
Well, I mean, he kind of had a sort of a positive impact on you. I mean,
Yeah, no, I was cool with it in the end. I didn't hate the guy. I'm going to absolve myself of me hating him for that. I didn't. It's just kind of like,
weird.
yeah, a little off-putting, you
Yeah.
know? But I wish him well, wherever
Yeah.
he's at. I don't hate him.
Yeah.
You know, it happened, and then even after I passed selection, though, I was still going to get out and maybe do SF National Guard. And then and that was my plan until I got orders to go to Germany. And then the only way to delete those orders was for me to accept the Q course, you know, to go, because I had went to the selection before I got orders. You can delete your orders to go from, even if they gave me drill orders, which thank God I never did, or recruiting, it would have been deleted because I did selection first, right? I still wanted to get out, and at the time I was going to do a deck statement to get out, but I found out if I did a deck statement, there's no way I'd be able to go in the National Guard with an RE code of 2. So I was told by my reenlistment guy. And I was just like, well, I don't want to stay in the Army anymore. I want to have a life, you know? And a good contractor I was working there at Fort Meade, he told me, I guess, stuff I needed to hear. And he's just like, hey, listen, if you pass the Q course straight through, you'll make it into that time where you have to reenlist in def. Unfortunately, I recycled one phase. And when it came time to me to reenlist, I was at 10 years and 2 months. Therefore, I had to reenlist in def. And I was just like, well, damn, now I have to do 20. So
Javier, you kind of gloss over it. You don't really talk about it, but what did it take for you to get into Special Forces, though? How much time did you sacrifice? and how difficult, how challenging was it? For people out there that have no clue what you're talking about, you just threw out a bunch of acronyms out there about how you could stay and things like that. But like, break it down to folks, like what you had to sacrifice and how difficult was it to get through the training?
Time and, you know, sacrifice the things I thought I liked to do. I was single at the time, so
That's huge.
that's super huge, and it's very interesting with time as well.
Right.
When you're single, you have all the time to yourself. You could either work on getting a degree. At the time, I was partying at colleges, making a lot of friends, thinking, hey, when I get out, I think I'll go to this college. Hey, I think go to this college. You know, hey, this college had these kind of people I like to hang with. These college has these kind of people that are
Right.
super cool. So I was literally testing the waters, what I thought I wanted to do.
Right.
I literally quit all that when I decided. I was like, okay, I'll train up for this to do it. But I was already in okay shape, you know? I mean, I still believe in the Army values of you gotta stay fit. You have to be ready. I was always told by this silly freaking E6, hey, troop, you got to be ready for a PT test any day. By regulation, I give you a PT test any day. And I don't think that was true, but in my mind, I was like, well, I believe it, I guess.
Right.
So I always stayed ready. And what it basically gave up was my time. So I stopped partying.
Right.
Whatever college classes I was doing, I even stopped that because I was just so, I'm going to put it all in. I'm going to go all in for this because my buddy asked me to. So I'm going to give it my best. And I like competition. And he was telling me he was running. He was doing it in his 5 miles and 6 mile runs. I was like, cool. So I was doing the same thing. You know, it was kind of like accountability checks, right? And then I didn't drink, obviously. I wasn't even a big drinker unless I went out and socialized. But I just stopped everything. And then my whole life was dedicated to that.
Talk about the time. How much time did it take for you to actually get through everything?
So I had an unfair advantage because, in my opinion, if you're like in the infantry, you already know like land nav and you know some basic things about stuff. It took me, I think, 3 months. Honest to God, 3 months of being devoted, ready, eating well. Anyone else, it could take them as early, maybe even less than that. Maybe they had skills that I didn't have. You know.
But the course itself was how long?
Oh, I'm sorry. The actual Q course.
Yeah. The selection and everything.
Selection was 19 days at the time, and then the Q course was like 18 months for me because I wasn't a medic. Medic is like 3 years. Yeah.
And everything was done at Fort Bragg.
Everything was done at Fort Bragg.
Right. Was there any part of it that was extremely challenging for you?
Yeah. And this is gonna sound silly, but your peers at time, because if you don't have the right personality and you're too much like of a, I don't want to say a hard ass, but like, I guess abrasive, which remember I was meek. Remember I told you that? It's
right.
Very important. Very important you remember I was meek. And then I just became more abrasive over, just time. Because when you get older, you get tired of BS, man,
Right.
And the thing is, it taught me a lesson because if you're too abrasive, people don't want to work with you, and that's anywhere, screw saying that just in the military, it's anywhere, right? That was, I think, difficult for me. And I don't want to say any phase was difficult, except there was that. Because there's personalities that are going to clash. To be with people that you may have never met, they're like, here, for this phase, you're going to be with these guys, and you just hodgepodge it. There is no talent management at all. You're just here, throw yourself together. Hopefully you guys get along and figure it out. Because your success depends on you guys working together. And so if anything, every phase was tough because of that. I know it seems silly to you. I was like, well, that's easy for me, right? And like, no, that's difficult for some people.
Right.
And I will admit, like, I'm not the one guy who says, yeah, I breezed through everything. Everything was easy. No, nothing.
Right.
Nothing's really as easy as you seem. You do make it as difficult as you want.
Right.
And so you have a choice. Either you sort of conform to what's going on in the room and you realize, okay, this guy has a big personality. You have a big personality. Maybe he's full of crap. For the sake of the team, for the sake of the mission, maybe you should tone it back a bit and lose some battles so you can win the war,
So you've been through, I think you mentioned earlier, 6 deployments before we started the recording, right? 6 deployments. Some of those deployments were as an 11 Bravo, and some of those deployments were as a Special Forces soldier. During those deployments, do you have any specific memories that, or learning events, anything like that that you'd like to share that kind of stick out in your mind?
Yeah, absolutely. Besides the personality part, whether you're with you know, host nation, countrymen, or just indigenous people from the indigenous country, it goes back to you can't just be the jerk off American. I'm coming in here, I'm just gonna be me. You know, it's one of those you really have to see the lay of the land, who's who in the zoo in a sense. You can't come in one place thinking, well, we did this here, so I'm gonna make this work here. No, it doesn't work like that. The people have a vote. They were there before you, and that's something maybe we should pay attention to. And I was young at the time, and I'm not making excuses for it. I made so many mistakes. So many mistakes. I still make mistakes.
We all do.
Right. But, I mean, I'm just going to be upfront about it. It's nothing is ever as easy as it seems, you know.
Right.
It's you say, oh, well, just because you have this title, you should be good. Oh, just because you have that tab, it's no problem to you. It's like, no, dude, it doesn't work like that. But we'll figure it out. That's, in the end, that's, in theory, we'll make it happen, right?
Right.
But besides anything that sticks out to me, it's within personalities with ourselves, because even dealing with us, with our own adjacent units, just because, and I don't think this goes against anything bad, what I'm going to say here, but just because we're at war, it almost seems at times, because we can't get along with the next adjacent unit or just people in general, that can kind of screw us, because there's either personality conflict between, you know, people up there, or even at our level. I'm like, holy crap, you're really not going to do this for us, man? Get out of town, you know? So the big thing is relationships, is what I learned. Relationships should be treated like currency. And if you have that relational capital, it can get you places. And I came from the sound thought of, and I hate saying this, but it's so true. It's not who you know, it's who knows you. It's so true. And I say I hate it, but that's how it goes. If nobody knows you, KP, why are they going to do you favors?
Right.
If no one knows me, even though it's their job to do this, why are they going to do me favors? And that's the big thing, is relational capital. I wish I invested in that, because I always thought, no, as long as I do my job, so long as I freaking take things to Pound Town, I don't care. That's not how it works.
Mm-hmm.
At least in some cases. In some cases it does, but that's like maybe 10% of the time. Like, okay, they're shooting at us. Maybe we should take them to Pound Town. Let's go. You know?
Do you think that a lot of folks that work in special operations share the same mind concept as what you just talked about, as far as understanding the bigger picture and understanding that there's more to it than just taking it to quote unquote Pound Town necessarily, but there's more to it relationship wise? Yeah. You think there's a lot of folks in special operations?
I would hope. I'm going to say yes to that. It's the only thing I'll say. I would hope they agree with that.
Well, the reason I say that is because there's a lot of folks who are in special operations that get out, and I think you've heard me talk about this before, that get out of the military and they go into finance or they go into some highly sophisticated, like they don't get out and join, you know, security forces. I mean, some do, but a lot don't. A lot go into business, or they go into these highly technical, challenging fields. Like, and I think some of that may be because they understand that there's more to it than just the pew pew pew, the bang bang bang, you know, and flank and all that shit. Like, there's more to it than that, right?
There is.
Yeah.
It's the relational capital again. I hate saying the coulda, woulda, shoulda, but if I had, you know, a DeLorean and a flux capacitor, and to go back to old me, you know, and say, hey, you're a walking representation, a commercial of yourself. How you conduct yourself and build that relational capital will get you to places instead of you trying to nug it out on your own. And I get choked up sometimes, because it's like there were times where I could have just not said anything, you know, even though it was maybe what should have been said. But it's one of those, I could have taken the L here and it could have been better for everyone. But no, my own freaking hubris, my own pride got to me, and it sucks to just like, damn, man. You know, so it hurts sometimes.
Yeah. Yeah, because I noticed a lot of folks that work in the community, in the special operations community, they're very intelligent when it comes to, it's not just about, what we're doing on the ground here, the ground and pound type stuff, but it's
Mhm.
more about pull it back, look at the big picture. It's all about the preparation. It's like the relationships that you're talking about. It's much more involved than meets the eye, I guess I should say. And at what point and how in the heck did you get into real estate investing and now you own 10 properties?
Yeah, I do.
And you're an E7
Mhm.
in the Army right now.
Mhm.
How did that happen? How did it start?
So it was the year of our Lord, 2017. I was trying to do assess for something extra within the community. Um, so it sucks being told. I love naysayers because I love proving them wrong, man. I really do. But it sucks being told that you can't do something because of relational capital, right? So it hurts so bad. And also the mistakes you made and you pissed off the wrong people, that hurts so bad because it's like the second and third order effects really hit you there. And, this really cool, you know, he's a really cool leader. I won't mention names if obviously, but he straight up told me, it's like, hey man, you don't have a future in this. And that hurts so bad. That's super hurt.
A future in what? In the Army?
No, not in the Army.
In
In the what I was trying to do.
Okay.
And then it was weird because I remember my face getting just flushed. It actually almost got flushed. I had to pull back a bit because I remember that feeling, and it hurt because you're told in the Army, hey man, you can mess up, you could just work hard and get there, and it'll be fine. But no one ever explained to me, going back to relational capital, you need to probably work on that more than volunteering for stuff all the time. Because just do volunteering for things and doing someone's crap jobs doesn't get you the places that relational capital would. And so when he told me that I wasn't going to be able to do this, that hurt. I cried, actually. I did cry that night. I even drank too. It was stupid.
So what exactly, I mean, just generally, what was it that you were trying to do?
I was trying to get into other capabilities within the principal tasks we have as SF. Now I'm speaking in like jargon here, but
Right.
you know how I told you before, there was other things that we can do besides
I get
getting
it.
on the ground.
Yeah.
So that hurt being told I wasn't going to be able to do that.
So you wanted to advance
Yes.
into a different
Yes.
position
Yes.
within the Army
Yes.
and within Special Forces
Yeah.
specifically.
Yeah.
And you were told that you couldn't.
I absolutely couldn't, yeah.
Mm.
And that hurt because I couldn't fight my way out of it. Like the thing is, I don't know if I told you off camera, it took me twice to do Ranger School. The first time, hairline fracture down my tibia. Couldn't really walk well for 4 or 5 months, So I was in profile a while. And I didn't even want to go back. But the only reason I went back, which is insanely crazy, I don't even know who would do this. This is so stupid. Hey, Sergeant Guitron, you're going to be on the levee soon for either recruiter or E5 drill.
Mm-hmm.
The only way out of it is for you to go to Ranger School. And I'm like, damn it. Okay, I'll do it. But the thing is, what kind of person? I could have done any of that. I could have done to any of those two.
Right.
Because everyone else was getting their levy for recruiter and drill.
So it was be a recruiter, become a drill sergeant, or go back to Ranger School.
And then go absolutely to war after that, which ended up happening,
Right.
So why? So I did that. So I went straight through the second time, It was less nerves, so it was a little easier, I guess. But, I did that because I didn't want to do behind the desk. I didn't want to be, it is an important job to train the future, recruits coming in, but that wasn't me at the time. I felt I didn't have, at least the mindset for it. But I'd much rather put myself through freaking, what kind of dumbass puts himself through not sleeping, carrying heavy stuff, not eating, well, being rained on, literally pissing myself because I don't even know if I was delirious or whatnot because I'm like so, calorie deficient. They're like, who would do that instead of, 9 to 5, maybe a little longer, and you're being told that you're not putting enough people in the military and you're a horrible person, or it just said, hey, you got to be nicer to freaking the recruits now. Instead of that cush life, I chose to do that. I have to this day, I didn't see myself doing the easy stuff. And I guess it's the best way I can say is I always wanted to challenge myself, I guess. I didn't care what it was. But it definitely wasn't behind the desk. It definitely wasn't doing menial jobs. at the time what I thought, but those are very important jobs, you know, recruiting and drill, very paramount. But but to be told, you know, when you get to 2017, to be told you were not able to do this hurt me so bad. Like, it was crushing to me. And
after everything you've been
yeah.
through,
and
all
it's
the
weird.
deployments,
And it's weird. You can say, well, that's, you got a weak mind then. It's like, I guess I do, because I wanted to serve at a greater capacity. I did not stay in this long for the damn money.
right?
Who the heck stays in this long for the money?
And does all the things that you've had to go through.
And
right.
the thing is, what makes it more fun is that along the way you help and you mentor guys who believed in doing the, you know, the greater good as well, man. That really pumps me up to do more, and it was great, you know. And but to be told that was so soul crushing, and this is not pity to me. I'm telling you where it started. Where that's it, you know. I needed all that. I did need that. And I had a lot of money for my deployments. Okay, I had a lot of money for my deployments. I didn't spend maybe 20% of all those deployment money, and I just
still single
at the time. Well, I divorced, but yeah, single now.
No kids.
No kids.
Okay.
So it's very, very single.
That's huge.
Super huge. All the time. And I was devoting that time to try to, you know, serve the greater capacity. So it hurt because I was putting all that time to told, no matter what time you put in, you're not going to have a future into what you want to do. And I had the thought of, I was going to take all that deployment money, which was in very much six figures, because I kept investing in it. Like, all that money was like in a mutual fund that I've been investing in since 2008.
Just to be clear, this is something that you were thinking about doing.
Thinking about.
Right.
Not
Did
going
not do
to
it.
do it.
Right.
Let's get it out there. I had the thought in my head. I hadn't written it down, but in my mind, it was just like, screw it. I'm going to go to Macau. I'm going to spend all my money there. And then I'm going to call someone back for my unit. I'm like, hey, I'm stuck in China. I don't have any money. Can someone get me back? And I literally thought about doing that. I'd spent maybe about 30 minutes of like, how would this work out? I don't care at this point. I don't really care.
I admire you, and I commend you. I know where you're gonna go. I know where you're gonna go with this. Mm-hmm. I know what you're gonna say. Mm-hmm. And at the end of the day, you were at a fork in the road.
I didn't really want to care. I wasn't suicidal, but I didn't care about living. I didn't care about much.
You were at a fork where you had irresponsible avenue and responsible avenue, and you chose what?
So that day I had that thought. I went outside. I was going to take a drive because I wanted to go to Burrito del Sol. And then my neighbor, his name was Tom.
Now, was this after a deployment?
Yeah, it was.
So, okay. So that plays a factor too. In like your mindset and where you were, right?
Yeah. Tom, my neighbor, he asked me, hey, could you and your roommates maybe buy this house you guys are renting? I was like, well, why? Buying houses is stupid. I own one in Maryland. It's dumb. I hate it. And he's like, well, and flip it. I was like, no, that's stupid. I don't like that, you know? So I was really short with him because, again, I was having a bad day. I was thinking about taking all the money I'd earned and invested money too. Blowing it.
Yeah.
Okay. And then to make that long story short, I didn't buy that house we lived in, but I did start buying houses. I bought my first investment property there. He calls me. I was with my friends. We're about to take a shot. And he's like, hey, they accepted the offer at $137.5. I was like, cool. Hey, guys, I'm buying a house. And then we drank more. And I was like, God, what did I do?
And this was off duty, right?
This is absolutely off duty. Absolutely off duty.
Make that very clear.
Again, this is horrible. Drinking is so bad. So
you got the news that you bought your first property.
First investment property. And then told me about another house. And Tom was our bird dog. He was, if you're going to have a group of people to try to do the real estate thing, you need a team. You need a money person. You need a bird dog, basically the person finding the properties to see if it's undervalued and, you know, getting the numbers correct and seeing if it's amenable for, you know, the portfolio or your endeavors or your goals to flip or, you know, long-term rent or short-term rental. At the time, he was just bird dogging for me. So 6 houses later, you know, it was, oh, okay, cool. I'll buy this one. Sure. I'll buy this one. Sure. I'll keep it going. And
Was there any point where you were getting motivated because you were seeing returns?
it wasn't the return. It was a game to me. I literally thought about it was like Monopoly. And we had joked around with Tom at the time. I'm like, Tom, I think I want to own a whole block. And we joked around about it. I was like, well, I mean, obviously you need more money for that. I was like, I think I want to do that someday. I don't care. I just thought of it as a joke. To me, it was like, you have to understand, I'm in my mid 30s by then, obviously, and hadn't married yet again. But I thought of it as I was still writing off of my soul being crushed. So me doing this took me away from thinking about that.
Mm-hmm.
I kept my mind busy.
And you put your money to work.
And I put my money to work better for me, actually, for sure now.
Because I'm sure Macau would have loved.
Oh, yeah.
They would have loved your money.
They would have loved my money, and they'd just say, oh, hey, come back. I'm like, with what money, right? So, yeah.
But just not to get too nosy, but were we talking about you saved $100,000, $200,000? Were we talking about hundreds of thousands of dollars that you had saved during your deployments?
Well, saved and then reinvested it in, because after the crash of 2008 is when I put all that saved money from the three deployments I had when I was in the regular Army. I actually bought into mutual funds and IRAs. Nice. So it was at a super, super discounted rate. And then all of a sudden the economy started getting better. But even when that was growing, I was still reinvesting. Like $1,100 a month went from my paycheck towards mutual funds and this and mutual funds and then IRA at the time. And I didn't care. So to my mind, I was like, got it. Cannot spend $1,100 a month. I'm pretty much living like a freaking E4. It's cool. I'm single. I didn't care. Right. So I was able to.
You're a smart guy. You're not a knucklehead at all.
I acted like a knucklehead. I am absolving myself from being smart at the time. I still do stupid crap. You could ask my wife.
Oh, everybody does. But the whole thing is though, man, is like you invested your money in 2008 in the crash, and then 2017 rolls around. You have all this money from 2008 to 2017 now, and then in 2017 you decided to buy your first property, right? Mm-hmm. And then from there that rolls into 4, 5, 6,
10.
Wow. And now you're at 10 properties.
I'm at 10.
And you're getting ready to retire when?
I think next year.
Next year?
Yeah, it's iffy sometimes.
And that'll make 22 years?
That'll probably be 22 years, yeah.
22 years in the Army.
Yeah.
That's amazing. So when you leave the Army, you're going to have 10 plus properties in your name. And from there, during that time that you were buying properties, was there anything that you had learned that you think other people need to know or understand when it comes to investing in
Absolutely.
property?
Especially in real estate. I'm not going to give anyone the platform here to dog on them for sure, but no matter what anyone tells you, anyone selling some guru selling a course, okay, no matter what, you definitely have to have a mentor. But you just can't pick any mentor off of YouTube. You literally have to know this person has, your best interest in mind, like a fiduciary, right? So you have to ensure this person is thinking in behalf of KP or thinking in behalf of, whoever, or even a friend of yours. And that's like number one. You need to have a mentor that really cares about your goals, what you're trying to do. And even if you don't know what you're doing, just say, listen, I kind of think I want to do this. I just want to go for it. And I sort of got lucky because I think he knew I played it very loose, because like there was one house I wish I didn't buy. Honestly, I was like, damn, I got to put more work into this house. It's crappy. So my numbers were off. Right. So back to that, besides having a mentor, you got to know your numbers. Right. So if you know the house is worth, just make it easy math, 100,000 is what it's selling for. But to get you the best for your numbers, you really do want to make sure you either want to cash flow it or you want to flip it. So that's the first thing, decision point. What do I want to do with this? Because if you're going to go ahead and flip it, that's a different kind of stress. I'm not a flipper. I'll get into it maybe later on for fun. But for long-term rentals or short-term rentals, you have to consider, I got to make sure, the roof's good all the time, 4-point inspections, because no, I'm not going to get insured. If you're not buying it cash, so if you buy it, with a loan, you have to make sure it passes 4-point inspections and make sure you're insurable. Because if you're not insurable, guess what? You can't get the house. And if you realize, oh, hey, there's aluminum wiring here. Crap, that's more for insurance. So unless you can do a complete rewire to copper, that's a lot of money. Like, you got to think of your numbers. And a lot of people are like, oh, I could just buy it and worry about it later. No, stop that. So whatever the gurus, the fake gurus out there saying, "Oh, just buy the house and worry about it later." They are so full of crap, KP. I cringe when I see these people on YouTube. Right. I cringe because they got to teach them the fundamentals. Like, hey, you always got to put eyes on the property. Besides having a mentor, get the eyes on the property. You got to learn some skills too, learn some construction skills, but you got to build the team as well. Remember, you got to have a money guy, you got to have, or a money person, I'm sorry. Definitely got to have a bird dog because if you're doing it, you're going to like task saturate yourself with everything. You got to have people at least out there like, hey, if I'm going to get a bird dog fee for this, give me a cut of that. You know, you got to take care of the people that you got to take care of your team, basically. What's the benefit for them to wake up every morning to work with you or even work for you? You got to treat them well and you got to make sure they're valued, you know? And because it's not it's a stressful gig, anything in real estate. And anyone tells you real estate is easy, stay away from them. They're so full of crap. And
what you just talked about, and it goes back to your overall lessons that you learned while you were in special forces with relationships.
Even in the big army, I told you we didn't get into it much, brother, but I was super abrasive, man. It did not work because I went from meek to one of like, oh, you can kind of push him around to like, well, where did that come from? You know?
Right.
So I didn't really learn how to be charming until later on in my life.
That's just part of growing up, man. That's just part of maturing, you know? And when you're young, you know, you're bulletproof like that. Mm-hmm. And yeah, no, I was the same way too, man. And the older you get, you know, the more you learn, the more you start to realize and you change. Some people don't change. Some people don't get it. But, you know, thankfully a lot of folks do. And so now you're at 10 properties. Mm-hmm. You're going to be retiring here in the next year or so. What's next for Javier?
So this is going to throw you off.
We're going to talk about your career transition at this point in the future. It hasn't happened yet, but where are you going to go?
Well, one, I want to see my, my family more. So however I can now that I'm married again, I'm not going to get married again. I mean, I told my wife, it's like, something ever happened to you, I'm not marrying again. I don't care. You know, I'm just, right. I just want to see my stepson. My stepson, by the way, is more like a friend to me. You treat him like a bro, but you know, his half brother, his brother, you know, our son between my wife and I, you know, Caleb, I want to see him grow up. I want to teach him things that I didn't learn, you know, growing up. I think we spoke obviously when we first met, how your dad taught you, hey, this is what success is, you know, and obviously the definition of success has definitely changed now, you know, everywhere, not just in America, I think everywhere. I want to teach them the things that, you know, relational capital, very important, right? You're a walking representation of yourself. You know, you're a walking commercial, you know, everywhere. There's times, obviously, there's a times to be a shot of milk and there's a time to like sip the milk, you know? And I say that because I have a son, you know, I'm not going to say there's a time to be a shot of, you know what? Yeah, I know it sounds so corny, but,
no,
because he can be listening to this someday. So, I would teach him that kind of stuff. You know, you just can't go to Pound Town all the time. You know, you may want to look back, look at the big picture as you stated, and think of the second and third order effects of what's going on, you know? And it can never be win-win situation. That's something too. Everyone wants to go for the win-win situation. No, it's about walking away satisfied because you can't make everyone happy. And you either want to be liked or you want to be known, you know? The guy who gets liked all the time is going to get pushed around in every way. You got to stand your ground somewhere, you know? You know, be kind, not nice. Because in my opinion, nice people get walked around because they want to be liked, you know? I think kind people stand their ground, you know, within reason.
Right.
And, you know, they make their intentions known, hopefully tactfully and not forcefully. So
I feel like this whole episode is kind of been based around the whole relationship capital that you talked about. And I think that's really meaningful and impactful for people to walk away from this episode with, is understanding that it's not, like you mentioned earlier, it's not about who you know, it's how people know you. Mm-hmm. You might know someone, but they might think that you're a total asshole.
Yeah, absolutely.
So it's important for you to, it all ties back in together, man.
Yeah, it does.
To be kind, you know, and not nice necessarily, because there's different spectrums, right? So, wow, that's, but I mean, as far as career wise, do you see yourself continuing to invest in properties? Oh, yeah. Are you going to maybe become one of these gurus yourself?
No. What I would like to do, and the thing is, I don't even see myself as like a grand guy now because I'm not even branded in any way, personal or professionally in this. But I think I told you, obviously, I like helping my friends that with their problem sets. One thing I realized in this industry for real estate, in any industry with sales, it's about being a problem solver. It's about customer service and problem solving. Most of the time people have an issue. You want to be the fix-it person, You want to be the person who has the actual solutions, workable solutions, not this wazoo stuff that's lopsided. It's something that's workable. Everyone can walk away from satisfied. You don't want to make one side feel that they're winning, one side feel that they're losing. Let's walk away satisfied.
Well, keep your options open because you have a lot of value to offer other folks with your experience.
Well,
just talking to you in this episode right now, like I could see you as someone who is an influencer and who's someone who's helping other folks out there who are interested in following in your footsteps. You bring a lot of value when it comes to offering the foundations, not just here's the steps on how to do it, but here's the attitude that you need to have, and here's the person that you need to be in order to do this as a career and not just a short term, like here are the steps, call this person, do that person or whatever. But you don't think you at this point considered, I mean, obviously when you listen to this from a year from now, things could be totally different.
That's true. I mean, because if you ask me what I want to do afterwards, I'm looking you straight dead in the eye, and I really heavily consider, like, maybe I'll try the entertainment business. I don't know. And I'm going to wait for my wife to finish nursing school first.
Yeah.
But, in the meantime, I'll keep myself busy because
Yeah.
I think I can't just stint still. I just can't do it.
Yeah.
So if it's either helping other people out on the down low or whatnot, I mean, I'll figure it out. But I think I'm leaning towards the entertainment business. And from what I'm told anyway, you kind of have to have an entrepreneurial mind to enter that industry as well. And relational capital, right?
Right.
Kind of all ties onto that.
Yeah, it does. It totally ties into that.
Yeah.
Yeah, Hollywood is very much like that, man.
Not bad.
So that's a whole nother animal in itself. I've spoken to a few folks in Hollywood, and they've kind of gave me some insight on how even just I was just talking to Daryl Fannin, and he was talking about the Hollywood accounting, and that episode would be released here in a few weeks.
All
but
right.
he was talking about how they report losses that aren't necessarily losses to kind of,
Offset.
I guess, gauge their overall success or lack thereof, and they manipulate the numbers. So he's working on creating cryptocurrency that is going to help cut out a lot of that Hollywood accounting bullcrap that they do. So that's fascinating, man. So your next step right now is in entertainment, possibly. I just wanted to share, where you're at right now, because I think it's absolutely fascinating. I know there's other folks out there that have done the same thing as far as investing in real estate, but the fact that you own 10 properties, 10 investment properties, and that you made your money, your hard-earned deployment money work for you, was something that I think a lot of folks out there need to take into consideration. If you're in your 20s right now, or if you're in your early 30s and you've got extra cash in the bank, or whatever the case is, you need to really take it into consideration. And just for people out there, I don't want to get too nosy about this either, but now that you own those 10 properties, what type of return do you typically see in that? Because I want folks to understand the motivation behind it.
Sure. I don't mind going over the numbers with you. I'm very free with sharing it. So depending if there's like repairs or one, I'm going to give you an average. Like the highest after the rent roll from those 10 properties, I'd get the highest I had, like, it was $14,000 one month as far as like gross, Right. But obviously I have to pay off, the mortgage notes on them, and which is, it goes down to, was it $5,800 total? So I net all that.
Wow. So around $5,800 a month.
I have to, no matter what, $5,800 a month has to go into paying the mortgage notes for those houses.
Okay.
Because I did not pay any of them all cash, because I almost did on one of them because it was super cheap. And then Tom, may rest in peace. Tom is dead now, by the way, but his the ghost of Tom lives on, I guess, one way or the other. He's like, you're an idiot if you buy it all cash. So it's like, you want to use it for the next property because you want to get as much as you want and as much as you need. how much do I need? As much as you can. I was like, well, that's a stupid answer, but okay, I guess.
Right.
Because he couldn't give me a straight answer. I was like, okay,
Yeah.
how much do I? Remember, this is that time where I didn't care. It was a game to me, but I kind of like this game now.
Yeah.
But it's a better game of me teaching others how to do it as well.
That passive income is huge.
So, small pet peeve. I don't consider it passive income only because I have to work and make decisions.
True.
For it. That's the
True.
So this is what the gurus told you, and it's crap. Anything to deal with real estate is not passive. They're so full of crap.
I agree with you.
I'm sorry.
No. I agree with you on that because here's the thing. Even with podcasting and doing content creation, there is, it's just like I tell people all the time, there is no shortcuts.
Mm-mm.
There is no easy money.
No.
You are doing, and actually we're going through that right now. My fiance and I, because I just purchased a property. And so I think she's also learning too that there is no easy way. You have to have systems in place. You have to look at decision analysis when you're doing stuff, when you're repairing things. There is no easy money. There is no shortcuts. So you're right. I agree with you with the passive income thing because it's not like you're going to buy it and then just set it out in the middle of the field somewhere and just someone else is going to take care of the maintenance on it and all the little problems that show up, your tenants, making sure that you set up the LLCs, making sure you set up the leases properly. Someone's got to do that. So, but at the end of the day, I think what it does is it gives you a little bit of freedom to just work for yourself. Versus you work for someone else, like you going and clocking in and, from 9 to 5 basically is what it does for you. So I guess in a sense, it's still going to be hard work to do all that stuff and you're going to have to figure it out. But God, to have the freedom to just work for yourself and have options. I always say the best place to be in life is to have the lateral mobility to tell your boss or to tell anyone, you know what, I don't want to do this no more. I'm out of here. Bye. And go somewhere else and get paid close to the same amount doing what you want to do instead of like kind of funneling yourself into a specific industry. But I think that's the best place to be in life. But yeah, so I could tell that when I said the passive income thing that you had probably heard that from gurus before.
I hate it.
Because they make it sound easy.
Yeah, and then it's not easy. It's like, nothing
It's
is ever
frustrating,
easy.
right?
It's always frustrating. Like, I give you an example. Hey, this year, I've had to replace 4 HVACs. Guess what? It's about $6,000 pop.
Oh,
is that passive?
Javier.
Yeah.
And you got to find someone to do it.
And I got to find someone to do
That's
it.
not going to rip you off.
That's not going to rip me off.
Right.
Luckily we have good vendors. My property manager, Mel, if I didn't have Mel, I will tell you this. If you're out of state and you do not have trusted team, trusted people, I would have not got into this if I didn't have a trusted person. Originally, Tom was doing it. Tom was getting a little older. He was making mistakes. He did not like being replaced. I will say that. And Mel took over all my properties and also my friends' properties as well because she's good, and she's transparent as well. No, there's not a problem. When Tom was around, I was like, Tom, what's up with this? But, you need someone very transparent. And, hey, you're not going to like this, but here are the numbers. I'm like, just give me the truth. I don't care, She's also giving me the latitude of, like, if she didn't know a vendor, I would go and find a vendor myself and obviously be like, hey, nothing against your person. My guy can do it for about 70% less. That guy's overcharging. In fact, F that guy. Can I get his number? No. Like, remember, I'm going back to the super aggressive side because I do not like people gouging other people. I know the fair market price for certain jobs. Don't you even dare try to say, well, I have to take it into my personal time. Dude, you're an entrepreneur. You're working every day. Shut up.
Right.
There is no personal time if you're an entrepreneur. You got to keep going.
Right.
There's barely any family time. That's the sacrifice you made, right? I didn't mean to go on a tangent that way, but I get so hurt, so just passionate about people getting just gouged. And they didn't have to be just because they didn't know any better. But you got to have good working relationships with people nonetheless, because if I had to talk to that guy and told him what I told him, he'd probably remember me. And I'm like, hey, weren't you that guy that you told me that back in the day? And you're also the only guy. I'm the only one who can do this job for you. So I'm kind of glad I didn't do it. I'm super glad because of that, you see. But
this is why I say that you would bring a lot of value being an influencer yourself in this space, because a lot of the things that you're talking about, like when I mentioned passive income and things like that, you need to let people know that there's work.
Yeah.
Like there's work. And Same thing with podcasting and YouTube and content creation, man. A lot of folks went out and they bought a camera and they bought a microphone and they shot a video of themselves and they put it out there and they thought, here I go. And no, you have to do marketing.
Mm-hmm.
You have to do good editing.
Mm-hmm.
You have to reach out to people, network with people, bring them on to your show. There's so many things that you don't think about. And that's where people fall off. You know, they realize you signed up for not just a marathon, but like a ultra marathon where you're running for the long term. And some people they'll veer off into the crowd and it's like, this is not what I didn't know what I signed up for.
Yeah.
So it's important for folks like you, Javier, to just speak the truth, like what you just said. I got to replace these HVACs. I got to pay for them somehow, because there is no shortcut and there is no easy money out there for sure. But no, man. So before we wrap up the show, Javier, if anyone out there is interested in connecting with you, because you mentioned that you'd be willing to help folks out.
Hell yeah.
What's the best way for them to do that?
Well, obviously, my Instagram. I think I'm the only food is my vice, you know, because I really do love food. And
you're in good shape, though, man. You don't look like you pig out too much.
When they created crumble cookies, that was the end of everything. So I don't smoke. I don't have any weird vices, but food is my vice.
Okay.
And crumble cookies is my vice. And I hope they don't get any money because I'm mentioning this, because someone's going to buy one or two or a whole party pack. Yeah, I have some injuries, so there's some things I can't do. You should have seen me in my prime. My God, I eat everything,
right.
You know. But thank you for that comment. But no, I honestly DM me on Instagram, and I don't. This is so taboo. LinkedIn gives me anxiety because there's so much. Just give me a simple DM on Instagram on Food Is My Vice, you know, and you know I'll share whatever. I'm not gonna charge you $1,000 for a course, you know.
Yeah.
Silly.
I'll make sure I put that in the show notes, or if you're watching this on YouTube, scroll down to the description and you'll find his link for his Instagram. You could shoot him a DM if you'd like to get in touch with him. And finally, Javier, I give everyone an opportunity to give advice to the community, the military community out there, whether it's veterans or people out there who are in service right now, military spouses, whatever. What advice would you provide for them?
Always vet everyone. You always want to see how their suitability traits are. What I mean by that, are they honest? Are they hardworking? And these are things like, you know, it's funny that girls do this really well. You know, my wife says, well, I already do this. I was like, yeah, but as a guy, I'm not thinking, hey, are they always honest? Are they always this way? What are their motivations? What are their vulnerabilities? You know, and I know it seems like it's like targeting analysis in a sense, right? But it's just kind of like, you kind of have to sort of be that way with people in a sense. Are they going to bring value to my relationship in this way as a friend? Or are they going to bring value to me potentially as a business partner? Or maybe, you know, in some way we can work together, you know? I would say you have to look at things that way. If I told past us somehow that, I think you and I would be in a very different position, you know, as far as mindset goes. And don't spend your money on stupid stuff, even though people need to spend money to, you know, make our economy great in a sense.
Right.
Just, I'm sorry. That'll probably be in another show. We've taken too much time, but yeah, I think as simple as that. I don't know.
No, man, that's great advice. I actually gave someone that advice recently. Like, what value do your friends add to your life? Is it positive? Is it negative? You really have to do that assessment.
Yeah,
so that's really great advice.
Yeah, for sure.
Javier, thank you for telling us your journey.
I'm not done yet.
Oh, I know. I know.
Journey's always going.
You're still, but I appreciate you stopping.
Always.
On your journey.
Yeah.
And sharing with where you've been so far. I think it's absolutely fascinating that you managed to make so many good choices, and I understand that there were not so good choices along the way. I think people get caught up sometimes in feeling like they have to be perfect, and you don't have to be perfect.
No.
I've made a lot of mistakes before. I think what matters most is that you pick yourself up, you dust yourself off, and you keep going.
You just got to show up.
Yeah.
Even on bad days, just showing up, and it sucks.
Oh,
I know you've had them. You just don't want to go to work. You don't want to be around certain people that are just horrible. That's the worst, being around people that you consider toxic or whatever name you want to name, you know, put them on in whatever category. And it hurts because you have that weird pit in your heart and your stomach. You're just like, you know, anxiety or whatever, even depression.
Yeah.
And it sucks. It really does.
Yeah.
And I think that's what it takes, and then learn a way to deal with it. Man, learn something.
Even with this, like this whole podcast thing, it's a hustle.
Yeah.
Like last night, I was smoked. I was so tired. I slept on this futon right here for a little bit last night because I literally crawled in this shed, this office shed that I have, and then I said I got to get some work done. I was tired. I was smoked. It's been a long week, and I did a little bit of work. And then I was like, I'm gonna lay down for a little bit, and then I laid down. I mean, dude, it sounds ridiculous, dude, but I had to show up.
Yeah,
I had to show up, man.
Show up.
So I showed up, got a little work done, but then I, crashed on this uncomfortable futon in here, and got up and did a little more. And then I went inside. I had to show up, man. It sucks, but there is no easy money, and there is no, there's no shortcuts, man. So it's hard work all around. But I appreciate you sharing with us like where you've been so far, man, and looking forward to talking to you again in the future and seeing where you're going to be at in a year from now.
For sure.
So thank you so much, Javier. And for everyone else out there listening, as always, I want you to stay tuned, stay focused, and stay motivated. Warriors, fall out.